Hi everybody and welcome to Deth Wizards. This is a brand new game designed by Adam Loper and Vince Venturella and released by Snarling Badger Studios. When I first heard about this game, I heard something about evil necromancers and heroes and I really didn't think much about it. But then I paid more attention and I found out that you are the necromancer. You are trying to build hordes of undead and take over the land of death. And of course, the stubborn heroes are trying to stop you. So in this game, you are the villain. And that's kind of cool. It's a miniature agnostic game, so if you already have a few undead and a few heroes, you can get started right away. Typically, you won't need more than 4 or 5 miniatures on each side for the first couple of games. In Deth Wizards, it's possible to play skirmish modes, player versus player, solo or co-op, so basically everything is covered. And I have to give credit to Adam and Vince. These rules are really well written in my opinion. Very clear, written in a cool and fun way, and a lot of stuff included. Several times when I was reading through the rules the first time, I was thinking, well, it could be cool if something like this and that was included in the game. And guess what? I turned a couple of pages and then it was included. There is so much in this game, campaign modes, and a lot of strong character building, several things you can do, stories included, scenarios, and a lot of undead to choose from. First, you have to create your Necromancer. Choose the basic stats and modify them the way you want, and then choose from 6 different legacies. So exactly what kind of Necromancer you want to play is entirely up to you. Then you choose Necromantic Powers. There are 3 powers that all Necromancers will have, and then you can choose from several others. So even though you choose the same legacy, you can end up with a completely different Necromancer. Next up, you have to raise your Horde. Each undead has a rating of 1 to 4, and you can begin with up to 7 points of undead for the first mission. Finally, you choose your lair, and then we're about ready to go. So let's focus on the story scenario, Rob a Graveyard. Basically, the scenarios will tell you how to set up terrain in one or more of the sections of the battlefield, and the other sections you roll for random terrain. I have rolled for ruins and up here in the upper right section, a swamp. I won't go through the rules in details, but we will have to see how it goes when we get started. So first up, here is the Necromancer. Zarasso is a Stitcher, and he is out for revenge. He has the special ability Aura of Repair and the special Necromantic Power Remove from Harm. Then he has Dark Shield, Negative Bolt, and Restore Energy like all Necromancers, and then he has chosen Bolster Undead, Energy Infusion, and Grasping Tendrils. His Horde is a Mummy. It's a rating 3 Undead, very powerful and with high durability. Then we have a Ghoul, it's rating 2, and a Zombie and a Skeleton Archer, both of them rating 1. So they are basically minor undead. All undead minions and heroes have basic stats like move, offense, defense, resist, and durability, and the Necromancers also have energy. That's what they use to cast their spells and also their life force. The scenario tells to roll d3s to see exactly what heroes will try to stop Zarasso in the first story. And I rolled for 2 Paladins, 2 Priests, and a Villager. The heroes will activate and do stuff based on their AI. We'll see how that turns out. The heroes have stats, and then you will add their rating. So if they have a higher rating, they will simply be tougher. You don't activate your entire warband or horde at the same time, and you don't really alternate activations either. It's something in between. Let's go to round 1. In solo play, you always activate first, and Zarasso himself will begin. He will spend 5 energy on a necromantic power, and that's energy infusion. By doing so, he can force up to 3 undead minions to move. their movement range or 6 inches, whatever is the shortest. So the zombie will move, and then he will also push forward his skeleton archer, and the archer will move over here behind the ruined building. There's also cover in this game. Finally, the mummy, or maybe the ghoul. He can only choose one of them. It's the mummy. Will also move forward. That was the first part of the activation. So Zarasso can now stay where he is, or he can move his movement. He has a movement of 5. So Zarasso will move behind the building after he has commanded his undead forces forward towards the graveyard. Now up to 4 points of undead can activate as well, and the skeleton archer will begin with a move action, and next up he will shoot. He has line of sight to the paladin on the other side of the graveyard, so why not take a shot? The paladin has a defense of 3 plus his rating, that's 5, but he will get up to 6 because he's in cover. And the skeleton archer has an offense of 3, and will roll d10s. Each die that is equal to or higher than the defense will hit, and all of them will in this case. So that's 1 point of damage for each hit, and the paladin has a durability of 18, so he is slightly wounded. Then the ghoul will move. So each undead can move once and then do an action, or they can move twice. And he will move a second time in cover behind the broken wagon. That was 4 points of undead. Now it's the hero's turn to activate, and according to the AI, the priests will activate before the paladins and then the villager last. So 1 priest will activate, and he will roll on his AI chart. And a roll of 2 is a cleaning strike. So he will see if he has enemies undead in range. Otherwise he will move 5 inches first, and then he will see if he can reach. And he can. He has a range of 12 inches, so he will attack the skeleton archer. He is in cover. He has a defense of 3, so he will go up to 4, and then the priest will roll his offense dice. That's not a great roll. Only 2 hits. And one of the hits will be absorbed by the skeleton because of his special ability, Nothing But Bones. He will also take 1 damage less than rolled. So in the end, he'll take 1 wound. The skeleton archer only has a durability of 7. And the other priest will roll 3. That's the same kind of action, also a cleaning strike. So he will move 5 inches first, but the other priest will block his line of sight. He will be forced to move a second time, and that will take him to the gate of the graveyard. In every hero activation, 2 heroes will activate, and then we'll go back to Zarasso. He'll begin with the zombie. He will move twice, and that will take him very close to the graveyard. The mummy is very slow. He will move next, but he is definitely the most powerful undead in Zarasso's Horde, with high durability, offense and defense. And then Zarasso himself will move for the second time. Necromancers can activate several times every turn. And he will get the priest in line of sight. So he will use 3 energy, and then he will perform Negative Bolt. Now Zarasso is down to 10 energy remaining. A physical attack will target the enemy's defense, but a necromantic power will instead target resist, and the priest has a resist of 6. Negative Bolt will give Zarasso 4 d10s. He will need 1 hit for the power to work, but if he has more than 3 hits, it will work even better. So he can roll 1 d10 and an extra d6 of damage. Let's see. Zarasso is really serious here. 15 points of damage to the priest, and he has a durability of 12. Zarasso will eliminate the priest with his Negative Bolt. Now the heroes will activate again, and it's the paladin closest to any of the undeads that will begin. And a 9, that means banishment. The paladin will attack the nearest enemy, and that will be the zombie. And it's a very powerful attack. And if he can take the zombie down to 5 or less in durability, he will destroy him. The zombie has a defense of 4, and the paladin a great attack of 7. And this looks really bad for the zombie. A roll of 10 is a critical hit that will be double damage. So this damage is already way too much. The zombie has a durability of 10. Even though this is 7 and he has 3 wounds left, he will still be eliminated by the priest because of his banishment. The zombie is no more. That was tough for Zarasso, but the heroes are not finished yet. The other paladin will roll a 5, and that will be Smite. He will move 5 inches towards the enemy and then he will attack. That's a regular attack, but that could also be fatal for the skeleton archer. He is still in cover behind the graveyard gate, so he'll go up to 4. And again, a critical hit. Also a few misses. In the end, the paladin will do 5 points of damage. The archer has a durability of 7. Only 4 will go through because of his nothing but bones ability. So he will have 5 damage now, only 2 remaining before he's destroyed. That was 2 heroes. Now we'll go back to Zarasso again. And all the undead minions have activated. Zarasso is the only one who can activate for the 3rd time. And when he activates, he can use Aura of Repair. He will restore 1d3 durability, in this case to the skeleton archer. That was his choice. So the archer is now down to only 2 wounds. Then Zarasso will move. So he could use his special power. Then he could move, and now he will use his Necromantic Power. Zarasso will again use 3 energy to cast Negative Bolt, and the Paladin is the target. He has a resist of 6, but all the power dice are successful. But the Paladin has an annoying ability that forces Zarasso to reroll all successful hits. So he will reroll and only 1 die this time will hit. That will be a d10 of damage to the Paladin. He will lose 3 more wounds. Finally, the villager will activate, and he'll roll a 4. That is get him. So he will move towards the nearest enemy. He has a movement of 5 that will take him into the forest, and from here he has a range of 8 inches. He can see and fire at the mummy. And that will be a very tough defense to overcome. The mummy has a defense of 8, and he only has an offense of 3. But one of the power dice will be higher than the mummy's defense, so he'll take 1 wound. With a durability of 16, there is still a long way to go for the nasty heroes. So that was the conclusion of the first round with all activations. Zarasso fried the priest with his negative bolt, but he also lost his beloved zombie. Revenge is in the air. In the second round, Zarasso and his undead will activate again. First, he will receive 3 energy from the beginning of the round. He will now have 10. Then he will move, and from his new position, he will again use a Necromantic Power. Zarasso will again spend 5 energy points to do energy infusion. And all his undead minions are within range. So first the ghoul will move, then the skeleton archer up to the gate, and finally in the forest the mummy will also move his movement or 6 inches, whatever is the lowest forward. So basically Zarasso will command his forces closer to the enemy and the graveyard. Now 4 points of minions can activate, and the ghoul is the fastest. He can reach the paladin and he can attack him. The paladin has a defense of 5, and the ghoul will attack with 5 offensive dice. That will be 3 hits and 3 more wounds to the paladin. He's now up to 9 wounds. And while the paladin will get his wounds, Zarasso just remembered his Aura of Repair. He forgot when he activated, so he will repair the skeleton archer yet again, and that will actually remove all the wounds. He is completely as new. And he will celebrate that with an activation. He will move slightly to the right, and that will bring the priest within line of sight. A defense of 5 and 3 offensive dice. 2 hits, not bad. 2 arrows will pierce the priest. With a rating 2 ghoul and a rating 1 skeleton archer, Zarasso cannot activate anymore. So it's back to the heroes, and the priest will begin. He will roll a 9. And a roll of 9 for the priest is a blessing. So all the heroes within 12 inches of the priest will get +1 offense and +1 defense until the end of the turn. That's pretty bad. Next up, the Paladin here, because he's closest to the Undead, will activate, and he rolls an 8. That's Light Bringer. The ghoul is rather fragile with a defense of 3, and again the Paladin will roll 7 offensive dice. There will be several hits here, also a critical. 5 hits to the ghoul, but that's not the worst part. He will survive that. But the Paladin will heal 1d6 durability if he's able to damage the enemy, and he is here, but he'll only roll a 1. Ooh, what a relief. So he'll heal 1 damage, that's all. 2 heroes have now activated, so it's Zarasso and his remaining undead minion up next. And the mummy will activate first. He is very close to the villager, and he will definitely attack. The villager has a defense of 4, and the mummy will attack with 7 dice. Let's see how many hits. 5 hits, but no critical. If the mummy had a critical hit, it would also have cursed the villager. And with 5 wounds, he only has 3 left. Zarasso will now activate for the second and last time in this round, and he will use his full movement of 5 inches, and that will take him very close to the graveyard, and he's not finished with the Paladin yet. He'll spend 3 energy on another negative bolt, but because he is so close to the graveyard, he will benefit with a reduced cost of energy, so the bolt will only cost him 2 energy. 3 of the power dice will surpass the defense of the Paladin, but he's forced to reroll them. And in the end, only 1 hit, but that will be enough to roll d10 damage, and it's an 8 this time. Way better than last time. The Paladin will go to 15 damage now, but that's still not enough to blast him away. The other Paladin will activate now, and he will roll a 6. That's the Light Bringer action, and that could be very dangerous. Remember, all the heroes have +1 offense and defense. The Paladin is closest to the mummy, but he is not really in line of sight. He'll have to move first, and then he will get him into line of sight. The mummy has a defense of 7, and he will roll 8 offense dice. 4 hits will wound the mummy, and he also could heal 1d6, but he's not wounded, so that was wasted. Now it's the villager, and it's about to become a little bit critical for Zarasso and his forces. The goal of the story here is to eliminate all heroes before the end of round 5. The villager rolls a 3, and that's get him, so he will get the mummy. The mummy has a defense of 7, and the villager will roll 1 more attack offensive dice than usual, and 1 of them will hit, so 1 more wound, it's just a scratch. That was the end of the second round. Only 1 hero is eliminated, and Zarasso is slowly running out of energy. At the end of the round, the benefits from the priest's blessing will go away again. It's the third round. Zarasso will go up to 6 energy. That's not a lot, but he can still do something. And when he activates, he will again use his Aura of Repair special ability. On the ghoul this time, he'll heal 2 wounds. That's something only Zarasso can do because he's a Stitcher. The other necromantic legacies cannot do that. Well, they can do something else, but that's another story. He'll move here to the edge of the graveyard. From this position, Zarasso will cast Grasping Tendrils that will hit up to 3 enemy models within 18 inches range. And he will go up against the resist of the targets, and he will hit with 3d10. And for each success, he will do 1d3 damage, and also the slowed condition to the target. Let's start with the villager. He will have a resist of 4, not 3 as here, but 4. Zarasso will hit him with 2 power dice. The damage will be 3, and that's more than enough to take down the villager. He is killed by Zarasso and his Grasping Tendrils, but that was only the first target. The Paladin is up next. He will have a resist of 6. Zarasso will hit him with all 3 power dice, but, well, that's that ability again. He'll have to re-roll them, and then 2 of them will be successful. The Paladin will receive 2d3 of damage, and with only 3 durability left, that could be fatal, and it is. The Paladin is also destroyed by Zarasso and his necromantic power. What an effect! The last tendril attack will target the priest, also with a resist of 6, but Zarasso will do the job and hit him with 5 wounds. Unfortunately, that's not enough to eliminate him, but he will also receive the slowed condition as part of the Grasping Tendrils necromantic power. Now it's up to the ghoul to finish the priest. This time, of course, with a regular attack that will target the defense of the priest instead of resist, so he is down to 5 in defense, and the ghoul has 5 offensive dice. And there is 1 critical and another 2 regular hits. A total of 4 wounds to the priest. But that is still not enough. In this turn, Zarasso can still activate the Skeleton Archer. He will move into the graveyard to get clear line of sight to the priest. And then it's his turn to do damage. 5 defense to the priest, 3 offense dice to the Skeleton Archer. He will only need to hit once to take the priest down. And the roll is good. All 3 arrows will hit the priest right between the eyes. He will die in the graveyard along with his fellow heroes. Now the Paladin suddenly seems very much alone, but he still has a durability of 18 and could be hard to take down. He rolls 6, that's Lightbringer, and he is closest to the ghoul. So he will turn around and he will attack the nearest enemy, the ghoul only with a defense of 3, the Paladin with an offense of 7. The Paladin will deal 6 damage to the ghoul. 1 critical hit also. That will take the ghoul 1 point away from destruction. The mummy now attacks from the forest. It's an ambush on the Paladin. Again, the Paladin will have to come up with a defense against the mummy's powerful offense roll. 5 defense and 7 offensive dice. 2 critical hits and a total of 7 damage to the Paladin. The mummy has a special ability called Cursed Touch. So if he rolls critical in his attack and he will do damage to the target, they will also be cursed. Now in this case, the Paladin is immune to curses. This is the curse marker, but it won't affect him. If another hero would be cursed, he would lose 1 damage every time he activates. The Paladin is still standing. He is the only remaining enemy, and Zarasso will move in to try and finish him. He will of course first use his aura of repair and take 2 damage away from the ghoul. He has also used his movement to get right into the middle of the graveyard to suck all the power of death. And then he will again spend 2, not 3, because he's in the middle of the graveyard, energy on negative bolt. Once again, it's against the Paladin's resist of 6, not 5. And there are 2 successful power dice, but he is again forced to re-roll them. This time only one of them will be good. So that's enough to deal 1d10 of damage to the Paladin. 5, not the worst, definitely not the best. So another 5 damage to the Paladin that will still not eliminate him. This round will end with 1 hero still standing, but Zarasso and his Horde will activate first in round number 4. Zarasso will once again receive 3 energy points at the beginning of the round. He is very low on energy. And then he will command his forces against the Paladin. Again, the mummy will step out of the forest and strike the Paladin with his powerful attack. So let's see what he can do this time. 5 damage. It's a decent attack, but still not enough to kill the Paladin. He has a very high durability of 18, and he also heals 1 damage every time he activates. So if he gets to activate again, he will heal 1. At the moment, he will only need 1 more hit to go down. Who will be the one to deliver the finishing strike? Yeah, of course, Zarasso himself. He has gathered enough energy to use Negative Bolt. Once again, that really has been his go-to necromantic power in this battle. He will have to go up against the resist of the Paladin of 6, and then he will again roll his 4 power dice. Well, just before that, he will repair the mummy. 3 damage is taken away. Aura of Repair, a special ability to the Stitcher, has really been useful. And back to the attack. Only 1 successful power dice, and he must re-roll it. And it's a success again. A roll of 10, and that will enable him to roll d10 damage. He only needs a 1. He'll roll a 4. That's more than enough. Finally, the Paladin is defeated. He fought bravely. I'll give that to him. But now it's over. The graveyard is free to rob. All the heroes are eliminated. This scenario was a success. But before Zarasso can go home to his lair, we still have a post-game sequence. First, we'll have to see if Zarasso can restore the zombie. He will have a +1 to restore because of his lair. It's a hovel. He rolls a 5, and that is a result that will repair and restore the zombie as good as new. So he is not improved or anything, but he's not worse. Next up, Zarasso will try to raise a new minion for his next scenario. Even though he's a Stitcher, he could use some spiritual presence, so he will try to raise a Spectre. It's a rating 2 undead, so Zarasso must roll more than 2. And he has a +1, that's a bonus for completing this first scenario. And with a roll of 4, the Spectre is ready and raised to join the ranks and the Horde next time Zarasso leaves his lair. Zarasso will also earn 3 experience points based on how this scenario turned out. Next time we'll see Zarasso, we will complete the final steps of the post-game sequence, if Zarasso wants to use his experience, and finally if his lair is under attack. So we'll get back to that. I hope you enjoyed this first match of Deth Wizards. If you want to check out the rules and the game yourself, it's very reasonably priced and easy to get your hands on. You can also get different add-ons for the game. They are not necessary, but you can if you want to, and there are even official miniatures available for the 6 different necromantic legacies. Check out Adam and Vince's YouTube channels for more information. And then I can promise that we will see Zarasso and his Horde again. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel and I hope you'll join me for future bad rips.